I'm not defending the booklet or things. I'm just saying, here's what I think at the minute. Now, just something that's come into my head as Paul was speaking. Actually, the way the state works is that it has a function, an ideological function to unite people within it. And it also has, it's also an armed body to enforce capitalist rule. And a good example is the states. So, you made the point that, a lot of American capitalists can't really be in favour of trade wars but one of the themes that's emerging, one of the things that Trump's done is he's largely abandoned the US diplomatic service, which is the way in which the US, coordinate their support around the globe, lead other capitalist states. He's lost about a third of his diplomats, and instead him and the section of Republicans are saying we can use either force or the threat of force to change the balance. They're certainly doing that in the Middle East, and they're threatening that in China. And
whom are they crucifying?
No idea. So I think we'll have to look at where are there class struggles in Ireland. And I think we can say two things. One is they're happening more in the south than they are in the north. Number two, that the struggles that are happening are sort of balancing acts between what the state can offer and what the workers will accept. So there's been a whole series of industrial actions about the PSSA, and settlements have been reached that have preserved this pay restraint mechanism run by both the government and the unions, but the settlements press right up against what is possible inside this. And at the same time you say, where are the workers moving? What are they doing? Well, they're moving inside things directed by the trade union movement. So if the nurses ask the workers to come out, the workers are out, and they're out in extreme force. If the transport workers ask, they're out in some force. But once the union bosses do the deal, everything goes flat completely. So there's those two elements, and the same thing about housing. There's absolutely no analysis of this, but the unions did a deal with the government in the last budget. It's for affordable housing on the back of mass capital investment from vulture funds. And the unions are quite content about that, so you don't really have a housing movement. You've got people dancing in the streets behind the union bureaucracy and going home when they send them home again. So there's this precarious balancing act going on, and I think the thing is, one of the issues that come out is, how do you intersect with workers? And Joe says it's quite correct. I don't disagree. It's not a matter of giving them pamphlets and saying, have they seen the light? But in order to interact with them, they have to be moving in a direction organised as workers. If they're not doing that, you don't really have a mechanism for communicating with them. And at the minute, there is movement, but it's within the structures of people who believe in Sinn Féin, no matter how reluctantly at the minute, or people who believe in the trade union bureaucracy, again, no matter how reluctantly. And things are getting tighter and tighter, but until somebody breaks outside of that, we have very, very little traction. I think that the last thing I want to say is that the actual history of what's happened in Ireland, certainly in my lifetime, has been very, very heavily influenced by international events. So the very first event that had any impact on me was the 68 movement in France, and that had a big impact on young Irish people. Not a majority of them, but a significant number of them. We all wanted a copy of it, you know. And then the Vietnam War had an enormous impact on events in Ireland, and to a certain extent the struggle of the Palestinians. And so there were certain key events that resonated. And the problem is that because the retreat has been basically global, a lot of the examples we look to are effing useless. You know, the Irish left went completely berserk about the Scottish Socialist Party. And then the Scottish Socialist Party took a nosedive, and it was never mentioned again. And then it was Podemos, and then it was Syriza. And one of the things that signs of the decay of the left is they're unable to do any praxis, they're unable to do any analysis. As soon as one get out rich quick scheme fails, they go on to the next one. I actually think the US is a good example of where things may be moving, and I put it in the book, you know, because you've got all the horrors of Trumpism. But last year saw the highest strike rate in the US for about 30 years. So Trumpism has provoked a response from the working class, and
there's problems with that.
yeah, I know there's lots of problems. You know,
the union density in the United States is its lowest it's ever been. It's down to about 7%. And the wages of migrant workers. If you regard the progress of workers' organisations, whether they're organised or not, making, it would be on the basis of their wages and conditions. But everyone agrees that their wages have not increased for 30 years, so that's not an optimistic scenario.
Well, they're starting to strike. It's a wee bit optimistic. But I saw a lecture by Richard Wolff a while back, and he says, well, over the past 30 years, the wages of the American worker have stayed the same or gone down. But the wages of the average Chinese worker have gone up fourfold. Mm-hmm. Now, the wages of the average Chinese worker are still lower than those of the average, but you know, the attitude of the average Chinese worker is much more positive than that of they're not in such desperate straits. So I'll stop there. You know.